This is a tutorial to provide instructions about how to conduct and interpret multi-level models and moderator models using the CoDa research platform. You can choose these models using either meta-analysis or meta-regression. For this tutorial, I will focus on these options in a meta-analysis of effect sizes, such as d-values and correlations. First, you need to select the effect sizes that you want to analyze. For this example, I would like to do a meta-analysis on the effect of institutional choice on cooperation. Some studies involve treatments where participants have an option to either choose the institutions in place in the dilemma and compare this to treatments where participants do not have a choice of institutions. That is, the institutions can be arrived at either endogenously or exogenous to the participants facing the dilemmas. Now, just to remind you, you can always go to the Ontology Explorer to learn more about all of the variables that you can use in meta-analysis using the CoDa research platform. Here, we're focused on institutional choice, and you can learn more about the definitions here. Now, going back to the data overview, I'm going to select both my treatment 1 and treatment 2. Select a generic independent variable. Select a more specific independent variable. And for treatment 1, I will specify that to be endogenous institutional choice. I'm going to compare treatment 1 to treatment 2 being institutional choice, which is exogenous. Basically no institutional choice. This resulted in a total of 27 papers that include 29 studies, which can be used to compute or which could be possible to compute 99 effect sizes, which have a total of 5,768 participants. When you conduct a meta-analysis by clicking on the meta-analysis button, you can then have the option to specify a multi-level model. You can decide whether to nest effect sizes within studies, which can be further nested within papers. You can also choose to cluster effect sizes according to the country in which the study was conducted. And when you do, then country can be crossed with papers and/or studies. If you select all of these options, it will basically result in a crossed, nested, multi-level model. For example, when I select studies, or study, then the effect sizes are clustered within studies. You can observe the raw output below to understand how many unique studies are included in this analysis. And you can also understand if studies accounts for some variance in the effect size. You can also select papers and to cluster or nest effect sizes within both studies, which themselves can be nested within papers. And again, check the raw output to understand the number of levels for papers. Here it looks like we have 13 papers which are associated with 13 studies. You can also choose country or region and to nest or cluster effect sizes within country region. And again, you can check and see here it looks like there are 7 different countries in which these studies were conducted. Now, you can also select moderators to predict the effect size. There are three different kinds of moderators that you can choose from. There are variable moderators, study moderators, and country/region moderators. Now, first, there are these variable specific moderators, which are specific to the effect size that you are currently analyzing. In this example, variable specific effect size or moderators include institutional type, institutional choice mechanism, vote outcome, and vote target. Again, you can go to the Ontology Explorer to learn more about the definitions and the levels for each of these moderator variables. Second, you can see there are study moderators, which are common to all effect sizes and studies included in CoDa. Examples include whether the study involved deception, the size of the group facing the dilemma, the year the study was conducted, and the kinds of incentives used in the study. Third, there are country-level moderators, which are cross-societal indices that indicate how a country varies according to institutions, cultural beliefs and values, economy, geography, and ecology. When you select a moderator, the definition of each moderator is displayed below the selection. You can also browse the code book again to learn about the definition of each of these moderators and their possible values. Now, in this case, I'm going to begin by selecting one moderator. I will choose institutional choice mechanism. You can see here the definition is provided for you below your selection. Institutional choice mechanism is defined as endogenous institutions can be established by the participants themselves, such as through a vote or migrating to groups with different institutions. Now, if you come here below, you can see that there have been two variables added to the model. And these are basically contrasts made with one of the levels of this variable, which has been chosen as the reference level. And here the reference level is defined for the institutional choice mechanism, and that is choice versus NA. The first level of the variable identified here is the quality associated with treatment 1, and the second is with treatment 2. Now keep in mind, treatment 1 here was endogenous choice or endogenous institutional choice, and the other was exogenous, meaning there was no choice being made. And so that will always be NA for institutional choice mechanism, but institutional choice and how it occurred within these studies can vary, and it could involve the participants making a choice themselves in some form, or it could be migrating and moving to a different group with a different institution, or it could be some form of collective vote process determining which institution was established. Now, these two effect sizes, for example, migration versus NA, is comparing effect sizes from studies whereby choice was determined via migration versus an exogenous treatment, comparing this to effect sizes in which choice, participant choice, was used to determine endogenously the institution. And here you can see there is a significant estimate, it's positive, indicating that effect sizes from studies which used migration as a form of institutional choice were more positive than effect sizes based on choice. The same can be applied for vote. Now, these are effect sizes based on studies using vote as a mechanism to establish institutional choice in a treatment. And here it's non-significant. The p-value is just above 0.05. The estimate is negative. If it were significant, we might claim that the effect size is significantly lower than the effect size observed by studies using choice to establish institutional choice. Now, you can also build your model by selecting additional moderators. For example, I will choose a few study moderators from the list of possible moderators. I'll begin by including deception, whether the study involved deception or not. Here you can see the definition of what is meant by deception. Deception could be true or it could be false. The reference level for deception here is false. And you can see a variable has been added, which is deception true. And this is just a contrast between whether deception was false or true in terms of being present in the study. And here you can see the estimate is non-significant, suggesting there's no difference you cannot reject the null hypothesis that there is no difference between effect sizes obtained from studies that used deception and did not use deception. I can also select additional variable, such as year of data collection. These studies were collected during different years, and you can see if over time the effect size is changed. Here the estimate is almost 0, and it's non-significant, meaning the effect size did not vary over the years in which this topic was studied. Now, next I can also select a country region moderator. From a list of many possible variables here, I'll just choose one, and that is rule of law. I might have a hypothesis that institutional choice would affect cooperation differently depending on whether one country has a stronger, better rule of law than another country. Here you can see that the estimate is positive, but it is non-significant, meaning the effect size does not vary across countries that can differ in terms of rule of law. Importantly, when you select moderator variables, each moderator will be added to your data table, and you can learn which study and effect sizes are associated with or have a specific coding for each moderator variable that you choose. So you can use this table to closely inspect the kind of variation that you have on the moderator variables that you choose. You can see here that there is some variability in terms of deception and its use. There's certainly good variability in terms of the years in which this kind of effect was documented. There's variability also in rule of law across the countries in which the effect was observed. However, there's not much variability in terms of, or there's some, I guess, in terms of choice versus vote in this case, but there's really, I think, only one study in which used migration. And so that should be, I think there should be some caution in terms of interpreting the output of such analyses while using that specific variable. Now, as you can see in this tutorial, the CoDa research platform allows for flexibility in how you can define your model and with your choice of moderators that can be used to predict the effect size. With that freedom comes the responsibility of closely inspecting the data and how many observations you have for each moderator and the variance you have in those moderators. It's important for interpreting the output of your analyses. We hope that after listening to this tutorial, you are better prepared to conduct and interpret your own multi-level moderator models using the CoDa platform. On our website, we also provide you a reading list that can also guide your efforts. Thank you for listening and for using the CoDa research platform in your own research.